Hey, welcome to episode 155 of Fresh Air at 5. In this episode, you're going to hear me talk about artificial intelligence, until you get to the very end, and then I talk about struggle to strength. Because, we can have all this AI stuff and we need to be aware of it, but we also need to be reminded of our humanity and the importance of being who you are in a time when it's easy to be everything else but who you are. So, without further ado, thanks for listening. Tell a friend, subscribe, rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. That'd be fantastic. And here we go, episode 155, Fresh Air at 5.
I'm Mike Brilla, host of the Inspired Teacher Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter, coming to you every week from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to get some fresh air by walking about my neighborhood, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people, the Simath First Nation and Mathwe First Nation. I consume podcast content while I walk, then reflect on this content in an unedited video which I post on my X, formerly known as Twitter, channel every day. This podcast is the collection of the audio taken from those daily selfie videos over the course of a week, Monday to Friday. So let's jump into my listening and learning this past week. Hey PLN, it's Monday, January 22nd, 2024. Today was very cold and rainy outside this morning, so I'm kind of doing a hybrid Fresh Air at 5 today, as I didn't go for a walk, but that's because I was very sore from walking 9 kilometers snowshoeing on Saturday at Manning Park. So I went for my walk ahead of time, but then today I listened to the Digital Learning Podcast with Matt Miller and Holly Clark, episode 38. And I'm going to smash those together, kind of like app smashing, where you smash things together. And Holly loves that, and so does Matt, about how we put things together to make something better. So I got some rest, I got some exercise, and I'm listening to this podcast and learning about artificial intelligence and the changes that have happened recently since December that Holly Clark and Matt Miller bring to our attention about artificial intelligence and ChatGPT-4. So this is actually homework for our AI Enthusiast Pod PLC at my school district. And there's a group of us that are meeting tomorrow. And this is part of our homework to do, to listen to this podcast. Thank you, Debbie Bourne, for pointing us, and Nellie Fargian for bringing that to our attention. So we have the opportunity as educators to step into this place of learning and understanding about artificial intelligence so that we can equip our students of today to be very bright and wise in their utility of artificial intelligence for good and for making decisions, but also we need to teach them about keeping the human in the loop about how we are using artificial intelligence and making sure that we are checking the information and not just simply relying on the fact that AI is, as of today, IQ-wise, smarter than a human. That's what Holly said in this episode that she learned about ChatGPT-4. But artificial general intelligence is on its way. Are we scared of it? I don't know, but that's why we're learning. We're staying attentive, and there we go. So thanks so much. Hashtag New to Me Podcast. Okay, bye. The The last thing for January 23, 2024, I wrapped up my walk this afternoon and the beautiful cloudy skies and fresh air here in the Fraser Valley. The moon is full right up there, and I've enjoyed my afternoon getting some oxygen to my brain and thinking about gratitude and how gratitude makes a difference. On Evolving with Gratitude, episode 86, Lainey Rowell brings us an interview that she has with Dr. Daniel Amen, which is called A Brain Health Revolution. And it's all about Dr. Amen and talking about his psychiatry practice and brain study practice and how he grew from being a psychiatrist that prescribed medication to treat everything in the brain without looking at the brain. And then he started looking at brain scans and discovered that there's a lot of things that you can do without medication and drugs to improve the health of your brain. I don't honestly think that I spend a lot of time thinking about the brain in my head, except how my body responds to things that my brain does and says and tells my body. But if we can take and focus on the things that can keep our brain healthy. One of those for me is walking every day or nearly every day. And I do feel so much better for doing so and getting the oxygen to my brain and being active in this way. We went for a snowshoe on the weekend. I came back and I was exhausted, but, energized because I had spent some time in the great outdoors. What we eat is important too. So take a listen to this episode with Dr. Daniel Amen and how he talks about improving our brain function and making a difference in our lives should we want to do so. He's making a difference in lots of people's lives, and it's great to hear these stories. Gratitude makes a big difference, and I am grateful for my brain. All right, that's all I got. Happy Tuesday, Lainey and Dr. Daniel. All right, talk to you. Bye. The last thing for January 23, 2024, I wrapped up my walk this afternoon and the beautiful cloudy skies and fresh air here in the Fraser Valley. The moon is full right up there, and I've enjoyed my afternoon getting some oxygen to my brain and thinking about gratitude and how gratitude makes a difference. On Evolving with Gratitude, episode 86, Lainey Rowell brings us an interview that she has with Dr. Daniel Amen, which is called A Brain Health Revolution. And it's all about Dr. Amen and talking about his psychiatry practice and brain study practice and how he grew from being a psychiatrist that prescribed medication to treat everything in the brain without looking at the brain. And then he started looking at brain scans and discovered that there's a lot of things that you can do without medication and drugs to improve the health of your brain. I don't honestly think that I spend a lot of time thinking about the brain in my head, except how my body responds to things that my brain does and says and tells my body. But if we can take and focus on the things that can keep our brain healthy, one of those for me is walking every day or nearly every day. And I do feel so much better for doing so and getting the oxygen to my brain and being active in this way. We went for a snowshoe on the weekend. I came back and I was exhausted, but, energized because I had spent some time in the great outdoors. What we eat is important too. So take a listen to this episode with Dr. Daniel Amen and how he talks about improving our brain function and making a difference in our lives should we want to do so. He's making a difference in lots of people's lives, and it's great to hear these stories. Gratitude makes a big difference, and I am grateful for my brain. All right, that's all I got. Happy Tuesday, Lainey and Dr. Daniel. All right, talk to you. Bye. Hey, good morning, PLN. January 25, 2024. And I'm out for fresh air at 5 this morning, and the humidity is about 50%, so it's almost raining, a little bit of moisture in the air, and yes, it's plus 3 degrees Celsius. Glad to get out. Yesterday I didn't get out, and I felt the effects of that. The extra oxygen through the blood pumping through my body into my brain is helpful. So that's one thing I heard from Dr. Daniel Amen as he talked with Lainey Rowell on Evolving with Gratitude that I mentioned in the last segment of this podcast, or on Tuesday. You can go look that up on my Twitter. All right, this morning I listened to the Easy EdTech podcast with Monica Burns, episode 251. And so, Monica, good morning. Thank you so much for having guest Alana Winnick on, who is a superstar like yourself, making a difference out there in the education landscape. And I appreciated hearing you and Monica, nope, that would be Alana and Monica, talking about artificial intelligence and generative AI and how we can make use of artificial intelligence in the second half of this school year at the beginning of 2024 and finish it out. The ideas that I heard is stuff that we that are doing this are trying, and it's about not being afraid of it, giving it a go, typing something into, Bing Chat or ChatGPT and asking it to do a task for us, like make a lesson plan, write an email, write a reference letter for a student, for a scholarship, things like that, and see what results come out. That's the tech side. Or we can use image generation. And I've been using Adobe Express, Monica, with my students because it's already in a tool that we're using, and text to image is there and does some interesting things. It's not for everybody. Not everybody likes it, but there's some things to do. Take a listen to episode 251 of the Easy Ed Tech podcast with Monica Burns. Go to her website, ourclasstechtips.com. She's got 24 things you can do with ChatGPT in 2024. They're a webinar that we can listen to until the end of January. Thanks so much. Have a fabulous day. Okay, bye. The last thing for January 25, 2024, I just listened to Season 4, Episode 19 of Teach Happier with Suzanne Daly. And Suzanne brings us an episode where she talks about you are not a triangle. What does that mean? How am I not a triangle? I thought I was pretty square, but no, I'm more round, maybe, but you're not a triangle. So Suzanne talks about how triangulation in relationships and situations can be draining, how our involvement in something that maybe we don't need to be involved in and let play out as it should, without us jumping in and fixing and connecting and making sure that others are happy, takes a lot of toll on us. As an extrovert, that's not as much of a problem as it would be for an introvert. As the, being part of a thing as an extrovert is a lot easier than for an introvert. From my observation, my wife's an introvert. And so, yes, how are we involved in things that are going on? So imagine a triangle. You put yourself at the top of the triangle and you have the people maybe at the bottom corners, the other two people, and you want to fix whatever's going on. There's a fight in your home between two family members and you want to step in. And do you need to step in? There might be a place and time where you have to, but is there a place and time that you need to all the time? Maybe let it just play out. See what happens, right? Yeah, I heard this phrase about triangulation a number of years ago in respect to conflict management and how we can triangulate so easily in social situations and get involved in other people's business when we shouldn't necessarily do that. Or we're a sounding board for one party and the other party comes to us as well, and we feel like, well, we got to fix it. Why can't they talk it out and get me out of the triangle? So it's about being mindful about where we stand in our social spaces. And thank you, Suzanne. I really appreciate your thoughts on this. And I am not a triangle. Neither are you. All right, take care. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, PLN, it is Friday, January 26, 2024. I'm still saying 2023 at moments, but I'm catching it more often now, so that's good. This morning as I'm walking, it's about 6 degrees Celsius out, and the sky is high cloud, a little bit of a breeze, very refreshing, and I'm thankful for where I live. I'm thankful for this place. I'm thankful for the land that I walk on that is part of the Mathaqui and Sumath First Nations, and this is their land, and we are privileged to live here. So yes, as I'm walking, I listened to episode 213 of Teaching Champions as Brian Martin talks with a person that inspires and has a story that is just, it's actually crazy. Kip Schubert is a speaker and a coach and a husband, and I think right now retired, but he talks about how he went from a place of real darkness to a place of being back and making a difference in students' lives. Not all of our stories are as heavy and deep and dark, but we all have our stories. Our stories is what we have. We can make up a story, but it's not our story. Our story is authentically inside of us. And as we work through from struggle to strength in our story, we have something that we can share with the world. I'm here today because I have my story. It's the windy road of getting to being a teacher and, a husband and a father and a podcaster, and all these things that we see right now at Brian Carpenter doesn't come just like bang, just like that. There's a story behind it. So what's your story? Take a listen to episode 213 of Teaching Champions as Brian and Kip talk about story and about being authentically you and keeping your standards up, being part of a team, never walking alone, and doing things excellently all the time. Okay, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Kip. Have a great day. Bye. The last thing for January 26, 2024. This is me signing off here for the week, and it's about what's going on here with me. We came back after snow days from last week, as you know, and we had 3 of them in a row. We missed some exams. We're catching students up on exams, meeting those needs, writing report cards, and working with students. So I've got some big tasks ahead of me, finishing up my report cards this weekend, and working on our school newsletter. Lots of great things going on at school. Oh, and the salmon in the classroom. The salmon are scheduled to come today. So we're getting our salmon eggs today, and we're all ready for them. I just have to wait for them to show up, record a video, and then we'll get that out and share that with our school community as well. All right, have a fabulous day. Have a fabulous Friday and enjoy your weekend, because I will, even with all the things I got to do. Okay, bye-bye. I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's like a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find some other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific episode podcast titles and episode numbers in the show notes, which are only a click or swipe away for your learning convenience. I've also started to put together a Spotify playlist of each of the episodes so that you can also take a listen to those specifically, and the link to that playlist is in the show notes. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR, or at Fresh Air at 5. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can be found on the Educational Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get some fresh air before the day is out and take care of yourself, because you are worth it.